I think one of the most important experts on the issue of Ukraine throughout this saga of the proxy war has been the great humanitarian Sean Penn.
I knew you were going there.
And
I knew you were going there.
he's urgently delivering aid with his core organization to suffering Syrians, because well, actually, even if he wanted to, he wouldn't be able to because of the sanctions. They're preventing any Western airliner from landing at Damascus airport, which is constantly under attack from the Israeli Air Force, bombed hundreds and hundreds of times the Syrian population centers, including Damascus airport. But anyway, here's Sean Penn just coming back from Kiev, and he's looking like, I don't know, he's looking unwell.
They need more ammunition, more long-range precision weapons. And
just to point out, his hat says "Killer Tacos," I think.
Yes, fighter jets. This and the issue really is that right now they're dying. Every day they're dying. So what we're waiting for seems to still be attached to this, I would argue, overcautious concern related to nuclear weapons, because
overcautious.
If we're going to live in a world where a bully with nuclear weapons runs the show, there was a former intelligence officer I'd spoken to in Ukraine at one point. He said, he doesn't want to live in that world, and Ukraine won't. And so I just think we have to make a clear decision to start saving lives, saving infrastructure. And what that means is supplying the Ukrainians. They have no interest in having Americans or others in the fight. They're ready to take the fight themselves. And their ability to transition on these platforms, be it the F-16s or when it comes to the Patriot, is not. I don't think there's been an honest conversation about how quickly they can transition. I think there's a lot in the air about how long it takes, how maintenance, fueling, all of that. But there are many ways in which that can be, sped up. They need more.
He's reading
ammunition.
the script. Sean Penn, with his doing the guy I gave $1 to, the tweaker I gave $1 to on the corner of Hollywood and Vine look. He's repping his core jacket. That's his aid organization. And he's kind of mocking the idea of caution over nuclear war on a supposedly serious program.
Oh yeah, we're overly cautious about nuclear war. That's an unbelievable statement. And by the way, what he says there about how the Ukrainians don't want us to come into the fight, they're willing to shoulder it themselves, that's not true. Nobody believes that. There's a reason why Zelensky's lied twice about Russia hitting NATO countries. Remember when that missile went into Poland and Zelensky immediately said, oh, it was Russia, and a U.S. official backed him up, and Associated Press reported that, and that set off fears that we're about to have World War III now. There's a reason why Zelensky was doing that. It was recently admitted by 2 German officials speaking to the Wall Street Journal. And I sent you the link, Max, if you want to show it. But basically, these 2 German officials acknowledged to the Wall Street Journal that Zelensky was lying about Russian missiles hitting Poland. But they said, we understand. He wants to draw us into the war. But we get it. We're not mad at him, because if we were in his position, we would do the same thing. So they're basically giving Zelensky a pass for trying to start World War III. So the point is, what Sean Penn there says about how the Ukrainians are willing to shoulder the fight themselves, it's not even true. Zelensky's goal is to draw the U.S. in. And why do you think Mark Milley, the U.S. top military officer, came out in support of negotiations back in November? It's not because he's Mr. Pro-Peace. It's because he understood where this was going.
Yeah.
That the only way Ukraine had a chance of achieving its aims of expelling all Russian forces was to draw in NATO. And that's why Milley came out for negotiation, which of course he's recently shut up about because he takes orders. But this fiction that Ukrainians don't want us to come in is just it's contradicted by top officials themselves. And Sean Penn, has he always sounded like that, where he sounds like he's about to cry? He sounds choked up. Has it always been? Because he sounds it sounds like he knows that he's spinning a lie, that he's advocating a dangerous agenda of encouraging nuclear war and saying it's not to worry about it. Maybe that's why he sounds so choked up, because I would be choked up too if I was saying things out of my mouth that are actively promoting World War III. That would be pretty uncomfortable to say.
I remember some interviews as he was breaking up with Madonna that reminded me of that, but I wanted to that was back in the, I'm old enough to remember when he was involved with Madonna, who is become, I mean, him and Madonna now are two of the biggest circus freaks in Hollywood. But
I'd say Sean Penn's a bigger circus freak than Madonna.
I don't know. She might be one of the more frightening people than him, but I think what he's doing in the world is, I mean, he is just a front for U.S. and the humanitarian intelligence complex. And that's just a point I wanted to make before we moved on to this next point you made.
Well, but listen, but hey, Max, a quick plug. Apparently Sean Penn is a new documentary for Vice News, aka Viceroy News.
Are you serious?
News. Yeah. Someone told me that he does, and I'm pretty sure that's correct. That he has a new documentary for Vice about Ukraine. I'm sure it's full of more nuggets.
Let's watch
like this.
Well, we can watch we have to watch like some 55-second ad about Botox before I can get the for the preview of the film. But yes, it's a film about the war. How did he get access? How did he get the footage? Is Sean Penn actually mentally capable of producing some brilliant film from a war zone? Let's ask another question. How was it that Sean Penn, while filming another documentary, I think for HBO, managed to lead the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency to Chapo Guzman to capture the top narco lord on the planet? Was he then actually a dangle for U.S. federal law enforcement and intelligence? Well, why is his core organization getting so much funding from USAID, which is his State Department, and CIA cutout? Let's look at the funders of Sean Penn's core supposed humanitarian aid organization. And you've got USAID, you've got the Clinton Foundation, you've got, Red Cross, which spends like 50% of all donations on administrative costs. And then you have all these other phony billionaire-backed foundations. And, this is a great piece by Vanessa Beeley, the COVID-19 celebrity humanitarianism, Sean Penn and the Great Reset. Before Ukraine, Sean Penn was sent out there to call for the unvaccinated to be isolated from society. And he was getting funded to the tune of millions and millions of dollars to deliver supposed relief, including COVID-19 testing, and to promote the narratives of COVID-19 in the global South. So he's just always going to be doing the bidding of the U.S. national security state, U.S. corporations, the U.S. oligarchy. He's basically an agent of those forces, and they're using him as an actor because you can't just put some CIA bureaucrat out there and expect to be convincing. That's what he is. So,
well, they don't call it Holly Weird for nothing. So weird, so weird where people's life paths can go. And Sean Penn's on this stage of his journey, and it's fascinating to watch. Who's
that guy? Was that Tom Clancy book? And they did some. Oh man, I'm losing it. Some Hollywood himbo. He's basically like completely co-opted by the CIA. He took a selfie of himself drinking out of a CIA mug.
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at who the CIA follows. Go to I checked this out like a year ago. If you look at the CIA's Twitter account and who they follow, it's just a handful of accounts, and they're all actors and Hollywood people.